I always knew Daniel would find out. I just did not think it would happen like that. It was a Wednesday evening, 2 weeks after Marcus had arrived. 2 weeks of careful distance and accidental proximity and looks that lasted one beat too long. 2 weeks of me being very, very good at pretending I was fine. Daniel had a dinner meeting downtown. He had told us both he would not be back until 10. Marcus and I had the house to ourselves, which we had navigated before, carefully, with the unspoken rules we had both constructed without ever discussing them. But that evening, something was different. I had been reading in the sitting room when I heard Marcus come in from outside. He had been making calls on the back porch, something about the Briggs situation, his voice too low to hear. When he came inside, he looked tired. Not physically tired. The other kind. The kind that lives behind your eyes. I did not think. I just said, "Come sit down." He looked at me for a moment. Then he came and sat on the other end of the sofa, and I tucked my feet up and turned toward him, and I said, "Tell me something that has nothing to do with any of this." He was quiet for a moment. Then, slowly, he started talking. He told me about a place he had been overseas, a coastal town in Portugal, small and white and quiet, where he had rented a room above a bakery and spent 3 weeks doing almost nothing. He told me about the light there in the mornings. He told me he had thought about staying. I listened to every word. And somewhere in the middle of it, without either of us marking the moment it happened, the distance between us on that sofa had closed. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. Just gradually, the way the tide comes in. He was telling me about the bakery owner, an elderly woman who had tried to teach him to make pastéis de nata, and I laughed, and he turned to look at me, and we were close. Really close. His knee was almost touching mine. I could see the exact shade of green in his eyes. He went quiet mid-sentence. I watched something move across his face. Conflict. Want. The specific expression of a man who is very aware of every reason he should not do something and is losing the argument with himself. His hand came up slowly and tucked a strand of hair back from my face. Just that. Just his fingers brushing my cheek as he moved my hair. But I stopped breathing. And then we both heard it. The front door. We moved apart. Not guiltily, not scrambling, but we moved, and it did not matter because Daniel had already come through the sitting room doorway and he had already seen. He had seen the closeness. He had seen Marcus's hand. He had seen my face. Daniel Harmon was not a man who shouted. That was the thing about him. He went very, very still and very, very quiet, and somehow that was worse than shouting. He looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then he said, with a precision that was almost surgical, "My study." Now. Marcus stood. He looked at me once, just briefly, and in that look was something that felt like an apology and a promise at the same time. Then he followed Daniel out. I sat on that sofa for 20 minutes listening to the muffled sound of Daniel's voice through the wall. I could not make out words. I did not need to. When Marcus came out, his face was completely composed. He stopped in the sitting room doorway and looked at me and said, quietly, "He wants to speak with you." I went in. Daniel was standing behind his desk. He looked at me the way he used to look at me when I was 16 and had done something that disappointed him. Except I was not 16. And I was not going to be managed the way he had managed 16-year-old me. "Lily," he said. "I need you to understand what you are doing." "I am not doing anything," I said. Nothing happened. Not yet. He sat down. Folded his hands on the desk. "I know Marcus. I know what I saw on his face. And I know you." I said nothing. "He is 13 years older than you. He has been part of this family since you were a child. This is not appropriate, and it is not happening. Daniel. I am not finished." His voice dropped. "If you pursue this, I will cut off your trust fund. Every penny. The apartment I co-signed for you. The connections I have made for your career. All of it." He paused. "And Marcus will never work in this industry again. I have enough reach to make that happen, and we both know it." I stared at him. "I am not doing this to hurt you," he said. "I am doing this because I love you and I know what is best for you." I thought about all the years I had believed that. All the years I had let that sentence be the end of every argument. "I know you believe that," I said. My voice was steadier than I expected. "I am going to go to my room now." He called my name as I walked out. I did not stop. I went upstairs. I sat on the edge of my bed. I pressed my hands flat on my knees and I breathed. My phone buzzed. A text from Priya, "You okay?" I started to type yes. Deleted it. Typed, he threatened to destroy Marcus's career. 3 dots. Then, Lily. What are you going to do? I put the phone down. I did not have an answer yet. But I knew one thing with a clarity that surprised me. I was not going to let Daniel Harmon make this decision for me. Not this time. But before I could figure out what that meant, there was a knock at my bedroom door. Quiet. Certain. Marcus. Marcus was on the other side of my door. And whatever he said next was going to change everything. Stay tuned for the next part.